Hello everyone, my name is Cherop Soy, Energy Access Thematic Focal Point at SDG7 Youth Constituency, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to this intergenerational dialogue. Today's event will focus on gender equality as a catalyst for innovation and sustainable development, and will highlight the importance of younger generations' involvement in the effort. The energy industry remains one of the most gender imbalanced sectors, with women making just 22% of the traditional energy workforce and 35% of the clean energy workforce. The transition to a clean energy future will only be successful if we harness and empower all possible talent. Ultimately, we seek to highlight the importance of empowering women, in particular young women, as key drivers for the transition to low carbon economies, and examine ways to accelerate workplace gender diversity and inclusion in the rapidly transforming energy sector. I'm very delighted to introduce a pioneering industry leader within the sector who was most recently sworn in as the second woman to lead the U.S. Department of Energy. Allow me to welcome the U.S. Secretary Energy, Jennifer Granholm, to deliver the opening remarks.
Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to join the Clean Energy Education and Empowerment Initiative on behalf of the United States Department of Energy for this event, highlighting just how critical gender equity is in our shared fight against climate change. I thank our host, Chile, and the organizers of the Clean Energy Ministerial for pulling this all together. As we all know, climate change is the greatest challenge of the 21st century, and to overcome it, we would need to tap the full potential of human ingenuity. We need a strong, diverse, and skilled clean energy workforce. We need leadership in this space that reflects what the world looks like. And we need to tell young people of all backgrounds that a career in clean energy offers limitless possibilities. And we need to mean it. So that's why the United States is honored to have helped launch C3E in 2010. It's why we're proud to be a part of C3E International today and to support the SDG7 Youth Constituency. These efforts are simply invaluable. It's also why President Biden is deeply invested in bringing women to the decision-making table in his administration and throughout our economy. He established the Gender Policy Council to advance gender equity and equality in U.S. domestic and foreign policy. And he's directed his cabinet to clear pathways for women to participate in and lead in all facets of our workforce, including, of course, clean energy. But we know that our efforts have more impact when we work with our international partners. And that's why we're leading the C3E International Ambassadors and Mentorship Workstream with the help of Austria and Canada, Finland and Sweden, supporting incredible women from around the world who are leading in their fields in clean energy. Our C3E ambassadors are phenomenal role models for young women looking to enter the energy sector. And I'm delighted that the youth delegates from the SDG7 Youth Constituency are going to get a chance to engage with these women leaders directly. So we are proud to support it all, including the Equal by 30 campaign to equalize opportunities for women in clean energy over this next decade. Under Canada's leadership, that campaign has reached over 165 signatories, including governments and companies and industry associations and nonprofit organizations from 24 countries worldwide. I encourage anybody who is not already a part of that work to become a member country for C3 International and to offer your support to the Equal by 30 campaign. Our efforts to close the gender gap, to increase diversity, and to enhance youth participation in clean energy, all of that will help us to achieve our climate goals. And those efforts only grow stronger when we make them together. So I thank you all for joining us, and I hope to be able to work with you in creating the kind of inclusive and equitable clean energy sector we need to build for a better and safer future for all.
Thank you for such insightful remarks, Senate Secretary Granholm. That was truly inspiring and eye-opening. Now, I would like to dive into the overview of SDG7 Youth Constituency and its activities. So the SDG7 Youth Constituency is a global network of youth energy organizations and serves as a space that connects young people with the intergovernmental energy space. We aim to bring the voice of the young generation to the decision-making table and make sure that it is heard. Our work areas fall under policy advocacy, youth action, knowledge, and capacity building. The constituency is structured with 2 global focal points leading the general coordination of activities with the help of regional and thematic focal points, and majority of the coordination team is female. Additionally, SG7 Youth Constituency seeks to facilitate the participation and meaningful engagement of youth and youth organizations globally in the processes of organizations such as the Clean Energy Ministerial, IRENA, UNIDO, ECOSOC, and many others. The track record that SDG7 Youth Constituency has of championing gender and equity is what we deem one of the most essential cross-sectional themes as seen in the following events. For the Vienna Energy Forum Gender and Youth Days, in collaboration with UNIDO, this was centered on women and youth empowerment as catalysts for inclusive energy transition. And for the ECOSOC Youth Forum side event under the umbrella of the Youth Sustainable Energy Hub webinar series, it focused on the role of gender lens and equity in capacity building for sustainable energy. It also centered on how gender-focused programs and capacity building in underrepresented communities will support the achievement of sustainable energy for all. For the Clean Energy Ministerial, today's event, where we believe having an intergenerational dialogue on the matter will provide a fruitful ground for new ideas and discussions. It will also table the gender aspects and similarities that can be drawn from multi-generational perspectives. And now I would like to take this opportunity to turn it over to Annette Tolas, the chair of C3 International, to tell us more about the organization.
Thank you, Cherub, and thank you so much for co-hosting this event with us today. As Cherub mentioned, I'm Annette Hollis, chair of C3E International, a joint initiative between the Clean Energy Ministerial and the International Energy Agency to advance gender equality in clean energy globally. I am delighted to be here today to speak about the importance of advancing the participation of women and youth in the clean energy sector, and the important work that C3E International is doing to ensure that the low carbon energy transition is equitable and inclusive. When C3E International was first launched in 2010, there was already broad consensus that women in the clean energy sector were underrepresented, both in executive boardrooms and at the highest level of government where decisions are made. While the conversation around gender has reached a major inflection point in recent years, women still face major challenges. As Chair pointed out, the energy sector remains one of the least diverse sectors worldwide, and the glass ceiling is keeping women out of leadership roles. And although young women are often more educated than their male peers, they are not enrolling in more lucrative STEM fields at the university level. Research has shown that gender diversity and gender equality in the workforce has many positive economic, environmental, and social benefits. For instance, the McKinsey Global Institute estimates that advancing gender equality for women in the workforce could add 12 trillion to the world's economy by 2026. The cost of inaction is high. We know that the transition to a clean energy future will only be successful if we harness and empower women, and particularly young women, to become active participants in the clean energy professions. This includes inclusive policies for women from different geographical backgrounds, as well as at different stages of their career, to participate in a fair and equitable energy transition. And that's exactly what we've been doing and working towards through C3E International. The objective of C3E International is to advance women's participation globally in clean energy by fostering opportunities and closing the gender gap. C3E International is a government network with nearly 11 member countries and governments. The initiative is jointly led by Canada, Sweden, and Italy. Other members are Australia, Austria, Chile, the Czech Republic, the European Commission, Finland, the United Kingdom, and the United States. C3E International is supporting women and enabling a more inclusive and innovative energy sector through 5 focus areas. The first area, and someone in our chat later on will be talking more about this, but the first area is in data collection. Efforts to collect gender disaggregated data is essential to accelerate progress across the sector. This allows for a comprehensive picture of barriers and challenges that are still present in increasing women's representation. The second focus area under our initiative is the International Ambassadors Program. It aims to attract, retain, and inspire the next generation of women to be leaders in the clean energy sector. Third is an awards program, which provides opportunities to recognize influential women and organizations across the sector. Fourth is our focus on communications and raising awareness. Bringing people into the conversation in forums like this is critical to the development and expansion of this initiative. And finally is Equal by 30, a global campaign bringing together leadership from across the clean energy sector to create a network of governments and organizations committing to work towards equal pay, equal leadership, and equal opportunities for women in the clean energy sector by 2030. We have over 165 signatories strong, and we just released reporting results, which I encourage you all to look up online. These are just some of the ways that we can work together to help build a truly inclusive and equal clean energy sector. The global energy sector has faced unprecedented and extensive impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic. Initiatives and groups that work towards a more diverse and innovative future, such as C3 International and the SDG7 Youth Constituency, will be more important than ever as the sector looks to recover and move towards a prosperous and inclusive future. We have an exciting program lined up for you today. We will hear from 2 more ministers, including the Honourable Seamus O'Regan Jr., Minister for Natural Resources Canada, and the ministry that I proudly work for. We will also hear from the Right Honourable Anne-Marie Trevelyan, UK Minister for Business, Energy and Clean Growth. We will also get the chance to watch intergenerational dialogues between young women starting out in the sector and women leaders in clean energy. I really look forward to hearing their ideas about how we can work towards a more diverse and innovative future. Finally, please stick around until the end, where Grace Young will deliver closing remarks. Grace is an inspiring young woman, paving the way for the next generation of leaders who will be instrumental in building our global energy future, one that is surely more inclusive and equitable. Thank you, and please enjoy.
Hello everyone. Bonjour à tous. Je vous rejoins depuis l'île de Terre-Neuve, le territoire ancestral des peuples Mi'kmaq et Beothuk. I'm Seamus O'Regan. I'm Canada's Minister of Natural Resources. Thanks for joining this side event. To my mind, one of the most important of SEM 12, because it's tackling 2 areas where we all simply have to do much better. Engaging young people in shaping the world that they will inherit. And 2, bringing more women into an energy industry that is central to meeting our climate goals. Gender equality matters. It matters to Canada, it matters to me, it matters to my government. Our government is a feminist government. We've been front and center in C3E International, a joint initiative of the Clean Energy Ministerial and the International Energy Agency, aimed at advancing the participation of women in clean energy, at empowering them. We're also leading Equal by 30, together with Sweden. It's a campaign for equal pay, equal leadership, and equal opportunities for women in the energy sector by 2030. Equal by 30 has attracted more than 165 signatories worldwide since its launch, I'm proud to say, including all of the G7 countries and over 150 organizations across the energy sector. Good data is essential to meeting these goals. If you want to manage it, you got to measure it. So Canada has developed a reporting framework to help signatory partners identify the barriers that prevent them from retaining and advancing women and other underrepresented workers. We've made progress, but there's still more to do. COVID hasn't helped. It hit everyone differently. Countries, regions, and groups have all experienced it differently. In particular, COVID has hit underrepresented groups, including women and young people, very hard. So as we charter economic recovery, as we build back better, we need to build back smarter. That means build back inclusively. It's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Because when you include everyone, you get the best. And we need the best to build a clean energy future. To achieve our common mission, net zero emissions by 2050, a prosperous economy that creates jobs, and a low carbon future that leaves no one behind. That starts here. It starts now.
Hi Mitchell, my name is Sabina Diaz. I'm from Argentina originally. I'm the project manager at HD Photovoltaica and a climate innovator. With a group of entrepreneurs, we have developed and optimized a patent, a very product called solar sheet. We already have implemented this new technology in the north of Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile, making energy more accessible for the people in the rural areas. I'm also part of the Youth Sustainable Energy Hub and the Global Youth Energy Outlook. I'm interested to hear about you, and would you like to also give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Mitchell, before starting a discussion? Maybe you can tell us about your involvement with the C3E International?
Hi Sabina, very nice meeting you, and welcome from Paris here. So my name is Mechthild. I'm a director for sustainability, technology, and outlooks here at the International Energy Agency in Paris. Before that, I worked for 10 years in the European Commission, also on energy and climate policies. And I think that is what is so passionate, that this topic over the last 10, 12 years has evolved dramatically, I would say, in the sense that we are going all for clean energy transitions. And my involvement in the C3E is in a way double. As IEA, we are providing data. So we are also working with the C3E Italy in particular on the work stream on data and analysis, which is in a way the basis for policy making. And secondly, I was very much impressed in, I think it was 2016 at San Francisco. There was a C3E international event at Stanford University, and I was one of the speakers. And there were so many female speakers, awards, high-level speakers, and also youth, which were demonstrating what they are doing in the clean energy. So it was such a full room, full of enthusiasm, that the networking around C3E and around the subject of gender and diversity in the energy sector is really something I'm really strongly believing in.
Thank you, Mitchell. The first question I have for you is, what is your best career advice for young people entering the sector?
I mean, if we look at the energy sector, it's a bit sad when we look at the gender diversity aspect. All over, I think the energy sector, as I said, is booming. Clean energy, renewables, energy efficiency, everything we can do for climate change is very good news. But when we look at employment, and the female employment in the energy sector, in the traditional one, which is oil and gas, is only 22%. If we go for the renewables sector, it's 32%. So female employment participation compared to many other sectors is relatively low in the energy sector. Otherwise, as I said, there are a lot of job opportunities as it's a growing sector, growing in importance, growing because we have to do more, and growing because the transition can bring in new opportunities for startups like yours and entrepreneurs and innovators.
Do you think the clean energy transition is an opportunity to create a good paying jobs?
Yes and no. I think there are some excellent opportunities when it comes for people are studying engineering. I think we are a lot in the energy sector. We need good engineers, not only, but let me start with the subject of engineers and STEM in the energy sector. These people, unfortunately, here as well, we only have 35% of women and 65% of male. But these are normally well-paid jobs. If you start a career in the energy engineering and in a company or elsewhere, it's relatively well paid. When it comes to more administrative jobs or work jobs, they are not always that well paid. So I think we have to distinguish. There are certainly opportunities, not only for engineering, also economists, politicians, other young people entering the sector, and they can get a career and good paid job. But there's also the backside. There are a lot of administrative jobs or other kind of jobs which are not that well paid. So I think the golden times of the big companies paying huge salaries, this is probably not anymore the case. But on the other side, as I said, if you are a young innovator and you have great ideas, there are golden opportunities. And once you start that and see that path away, I think there's also good opportunity for well-paid jobs.
What role can the youth and women play in accelerating clean energy transition, and how we can better attract them, retain, and promote them?
I think this is a key question. I mean, more broadly, as I said in the beginning, we need more women, more young people in the energy sector. It's still a very traditional when it comes to gender, to diversity. And we all know more diversity, young people, female, geographically diverse, can bring more productivity, more innovation. So we need to make that step. We need more young people in the sector. We need more female employees at all levels. So the first thing is to attract and make the sector more attractive. I think, frankly, this is happening because we are moving so fast in this clean energy space, and we are seeing more people, more young people, more female already in the renewable sector, in all kind of jobs there. So I'm rather confident that there will be over time more, but it needs to happen faster. And that's why I think we need strongly a couple of measures. First of all, we need to look at the studies and have more engineers, education in general. Secondly, I think we have to look, there are still barriers, there are still pay gaps, wage gaps, which affect women and men. We have done a couple of studies that women, certainly if they have a family and other obligations, they, in lots of parts of the world, they are earning less for the same job than men. So there's a social dimension where we need to work all together, which is not so much energy specific, but we has an impact on the work-life balance, on bringing more women and childcare and all that more on an equal footing. And I would add, there are a couple of other things like access to finance, like young people like you who wants to start a company and so on. I think we need to facilitate that more. And here again, we have been looking at startups and access to finance. It's also still a little bit more difficult for women in many places in the world. So I think there's also a role to play from finance institutions, banks, to attract and to make the same opportunity to male, young and female male startups. And my last advice here, I think we all can make more out of mentoring, networking, and also looking and doing events like that and having C3E so active that there is more awareness. I think that's the first step in a way, that we need diversity, gender diversity in the sector and attract young people, female, and if we are aware of it, I think then we can work with governments, companies to give strategies, mentoring, finance, opportunities, so we have a more diverse workforce and more opportunities to start with, but then also to make a career. Let me maybe also say we need to attract more in the beginning, that is young people and female, but we also need to pave the way that these get the same opportunities like men in their career. And that is frankly also not so much the case. If we look at top jobs, they are among the 5, 10, even 20 top energy companies, there's no woman. So I think it's a start, but we need really to accompany and facilitate the opportunities for women and men, but to have a diverse workforce and a career along the way up until the top for those who want to do.
Thank you so much, Metal, for this great discussion and your participation in today's talk on career opportunity and the clean energy sector. I look hearing from other speakers next.
I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak today at the joint event for C3E and the SDG7 Youth Constituency at the 12th Clean Energy Ministerial. The United Kingdom is a strong advocate of advancing gender equality in the clean energy sector, and I am proud that the UK is a signatory to the Clean Energy Education and Empowerment, that's the C3E initiative. As incoming COP26 President, we know that we are at a critical moment for the future of our planet. We need to make sure that we use the talents of all our citizens in tackling the challenges ahead. That is why, as recognised by the UN Climate Convention's Gender Action Plan, we must increase the equal and meaningful participation and leadership of women in the clean energy industry. I recognise the scale of the challenge and welcome initiatives that promote the sharing of experience and best practice. I strongly believe that the work of C3E will help to ensure that the energy sector of the future is fairer, more flexible, and more diverse. I'm very pleased that today's event also provides an opportunity to listen to the voices, concerns, and ideas of young people in the energy sector. Young women and men will be the main beneficiaries of the changes we are seeing today and will be responsible for taking forward work in the future to make our energy systems sustainable and resilient. So I hope the event today will build on the strong foundations for future action and that the work we are engaged in will lead to real change in the sector. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to these sessions concerning the barriers and the challenges for young women in the clean energy sector. I am Cristiana Marchitelli. I'm here with you on behalf of the European Youth Energy Network, a young association born very lately in the European Union, whose mission is to place youth at the heart of the clean energy transition and aiming at empowering energy-focused youth organizations to have a voice vis-a-vis the European institutions and to share the best practices and disseminate the knowledge that youth has in the energy sector throughout Europe. I will be here with you in this dialogue with Loreto. Loreto, please tell us something about you.
Hi, Cristiana. Hi, everyone. Very nice to be with you talking here in this dialogue. I am one of the Chilean ambassadors of the C3E International Initiative. And as background, I'm a journalist and I'm also master in strategic communications. And I've been working in the clean energy industry for about a little bit more than 13 years. And from in the whole chain of the energy, from the generation to the transmission and distribution. And my main background is in corporate affairs and communications. And also now I'm focusing finding new opportunities of business in this clean energy industry that brings together every day is a new challenge. So I'm very happy to be here and to talk with you about the opportunities more than the barriers that this sector represents for young women like you are, and I am too.
Now, indeed, it will be very interesting because today we will talk about how to empower women to be the key drivers of the transition toward a low carbon economy. So your presence here is very, very important. So as you have a lot more experience than I do, what is the best career advice that you could give me and you can give the young people entering the sector?
Well, you know, Cristiana, as a journalist, and when I was studying journalism, I never thought I was going to work in this industry. Actually, it wasn't even a place for me in that moment because I didn't even know it really exists for me, you know? And so I was thinking working in a radio or in TV or in a newspaper, but never in this industry. So I would say that I was really open to the opportunities that my career presents. I started working in an advisor company with an energy company at that moment. And despite I didn't know very much about technical matters, I was very open to these opportunities. And I would say that the best thing is always give your best. You know, you have to give your best, despite it's not your best work, it's not your ideal work or the ideal company. You will, it's very relevant to always leave a mark where you are, because you never know what's going to happen after that, who you're going to meet, who will recommend you. Maybe someone you met in the past will recommend you in a new job. So I would say that the best advice I can give is, and it sounds a little bit cliche maybe, but do your work with love. When you do it with love and you find a purpose in everything you do, you will you are going to be success. And this is one of these industry that need this, because you know the clean energy industry presents a lot of challenge. Every day is a challenge. So and it's a sector with purpose, because you can see what's your contribution to the world, to the future, and even for the people you work with. So just give your best and do it with love. I would say that's the best advice I can give to you and to your colleagues.
Thank you, Loreto. I mean, it is important always to give our best, but I mean, sometimes it seems that it's not enough, that there is a barrier stopping us. And I was wondering whether you have encountered some barriers, or young colleagues, women that you know of, and what exactly did you do to overcome them?
There are always situations, Christiana, always. But if you're well prepared and if you're concerned about what are your capabilities, you will overcome them. But I would like to mention two things, but that they are focused in one. And I think the biggest barrier the women present in this industry, and maybe in others, are us, us women. Because there's this myth or this comment that says that the worst enemy of a woman is another woman, and I think we need to eradicate that. I can see in the youngest generation that this is changing, but in my generation, still something you can see. No, I prefer to work with a man because women are more complicated, or we compete rather than collaborate. So for the success of the women in this sector, I think it's key to collaborate with each other, to talk to each other, to support each other. So I would say that's one of the best, one of the most important things, to collaborate women with women. And the other thing that I recently realized, and it's like a trend thing, but I think we all have a little bit of this syndrome called the imposter syndrome. Because you never feel you're good enough. Everybody says that you're perfect for this job. You will do it great, but you get scared because you say, I'm not prepared. Maybe I don't have the capabilities, or I don't have the knowledge. And so you never feel good enough. You're good enough. And I think we all have a little bit of that. And I think the best way to overcome that is talking to each other again, taking advantage of the mentoring opportunities that we all have of this program, the C3E International Program. It's a great opportunity. Also identifying which are your capabilities and knowing better you, because of course there are things you have to improve and you have to work in, but there are other things that you are really good at. So, and you have to be aware of that. And other thing is that, don't feel guilty if you make a mistake. It's a mistake, and a mistake is an opportunity to learn something new, and they don't define you. So, so try to. It's good to be aware of that, because if you're not aware of that, you will never overcome that. If you are aware that you have a little bit of this syndrome, you will go through, and you will also be success. And you just have to go for it. And okay, I'm totally capable. Maybe I don't have the technical knowledge, but I will learn it. I don't think that technical matters are a barrier. I had this boss, unfortunately, it was a man, but he told me, you can do whatever you want. I'm not good at finance, but he told me, you can be CFO because you have all the capabilities. You only need to learn a little bit about finance, and you will be a great CFO. So that's my that's what I think, how we have to see the work for the women in this industry. And I would like to ask you something, Christiana. I'm very curious about how you see the future in the clean energy industry as a young woman. What are your aspirations for this industry?
Thank you. I mean, it's an interesting question. I've entered the sector quite recently. I've majored in international politics for energy and economics of energy, and working in the European institution level, I can see the sector evolving. Well, first of all, my inspirations will be having women's participation in the sector advanced more than it is now through capacity building initiatives. You said collaboration, mentoring, reverse mentoring. It would be very, very effective. Establish targets, but not quotas. I don't want to have tokenism. I don't want to have quotas. It is fine to target the efforts at women, but we need equalities of opportunities, not equalities of outcome. And as the clean energy sector per se, I want to have it laying down the foundation for climate neutral economy for 2050, energy system integration, and all the efforts that we're doing towards that direction, having in mind that we don't have to leave no one behind. I mean, women are the pillars of the community, in particular in developing countries, and we need to empower them to transform the energy at local level. So having a just transition, leaving no one behind, will be the aspiration for the clean energy sector of the future.
And we need that. We have huge challenges in front of us. So it's great to have you on board.
No, it's great to listen to your advices, and I look forward to learning from you and collaborating with you in the future.
Yeah, sure. Count on that. You will have me whenever you need me.
Well, thank you, Loreto, for this interesting dialogue, and I look forward to having one in the near future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Christiana, and thank you to everyone who is watching us. And now I would like to finish with, as I mentioned before, I'm a C3E International Ambassador representing Chile, and we all work in advocating for a more inclusive clean energy industry. And I would like to invite you if you can join me with introducing and meeting my fellow ambassadors in this video and learn a little bit more about this program.
Hi, I'm Susie Jaworowski with the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy. I'm the Vice Chair for the C3E Gender Diversity effort under the Clean Energy Ministerial, and the U.S. is proud to lead the Ambassador and Mentorship Program. At the U.S. Department of Energy, we're also working hard to develop innovations and technologies that can lower carbon emissions. A great example of this is the Flexible Nuclear campaign that can include flexible nuclear with renewables to develop clean energy systems that provide electricity 24/7, rain or shine. We're also committed to gender diversity by being active participants in the C3E initiative. Now I'm very excited to introduce to you some of our 2020 global ambassadors and mentors with a message on clean energy and gender diversity.
We need to break down stereotypes. Women must be valued as contributors to innovation and collaborators in the energy transition. Remember, diversity makes commercial sense, drives innovation, and accelerates growth.
I feel it's so important for us to focus on gender equity in a time of the energy transition that we're in. In the technology world, I see the challenges and many opportunities for solution every day. To be able to bring a full scope of talent to these challenges and all of our ideas to the table is the only way we can be successful.
Women together, we go farther and go faster. So you are very welcome to be part of this fight against climate change. Especially in the field of clean energies, we are doing important contributions. We don't have time to wait. It's time for action.
I hope together we can inspire many women to bring their expertise into the fields of clean energy.
Even though the energy sector has made remarkable progress in the incorporation of women to the sector, we are still in debt. We need you. We need your talent to achieve the goals of the energy transition. And this is what this initiative is about.
My home is the great energy state of Alaska, where strong women have led the charge for positive change. I support clean energy technologies because they can reduce costs and greenhouse gas emissions. I'm glad to be an ambassador for C3E, and I thank you all for participating in this Clean Energy Ministerial.
Hi, my name is Nora Magero. I'm a clean energy expert from Kenya, and I run an organization called Drop Access. We develop sustainable rural communities in Kenya. And one of our mandate is that we have to include women and the youth at the forefront of the green energy transition in Kenya and Africa. So we do this through capacity building, through energy literacy, through training, because we've come to understand that if they know more about clean energy, then they'll adopt it faster. So I'll introduce my colleague, Davina, to introduce herself.
Thank you, Nora. So I'm Davina Ngay, and just like Nora, I'm from Kenya. I work as a communications manager at the Global Women's Network for the Energy Transition, or GWNet for short. And we're a global organization, though I work remotely. And my work mostly revolves around supporting our different pillars. So that's networking, advocacy, and mentorship. And all of it surrounds advancing the participation of women working in the energy transition.
Oh, wow, amazing. Okay, so Davina, first question, I'm just curious, why the clean energy sector? And I'll explain more why this is really, really important as for women in the industry, because we're having women joining the industry and we're not retaining them. So for you, why the clean energy sector, and what path really led you to become so passionate in your advocacy for clean energy?
Thank you, Nora. So actually joining the clean energy sector was completely happenstance. I was involved with content creation and content promotion around entrepreneurship within the Kenyan space. And during this time, I interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I saw an advertisement for a talk on women energy entrepreneurs. And I had absolutely no idea what this meant, but it sounded interesting enough for me to sign up. And when I attended the talk, it was from an organization called W Power Hub. And their work revolved around supporting women at the last mile as entrepreneurs to promote clean energy access. And this is something that I had not understood. I did not understand just about the disproportionate effects or impacts that lack of clean energy had on women and children. And I didn't understand the opportunity that women can have and the impact they can have as entrepreneurs to not only solve this problem, which affects billions around the world, but to also play a significant part in combating climate change. And this is how I entered the field of clean energy. And as I've grown within the field and I've learned more about not only the role that women can play as energy entrepreneurs within the clean energy access space, but just the pure importance of having women at each stage of the energy transition, at each role, at each position, and just ensuring that women and their voices are heard. And they're at the forefront, as you mentioned. This is what you do in your work, but they're there. Their perspective is there, and their actions are there as we lead the energy transition. And this, and just the growing knowledge around this, as I interact with more people and more organizations, is why I'm still passionate about the clean energy sector. Yeah.
Amazing. I am impressed. You know, I have a background in engineering, and when I got to the sector in 2015, there was this notion that unless you have a background in engineering or maybe a technical course, you won't really have a space in the clean energy, the Kenya's clean energy space, and even the African clean energy space. So to me, I see your journey as non-technical to still engaging in the sector, which is really, really amazing. Especially for young women in our industry who wants to join and they don't know where to join from. Literally, from the back end to the front end, we can still engage in the clean energy sector. So thank you so much for that. And just another question. I'm just wondering, like, according to you, what do you think is the correlation between mentorship and gender equality in this sector? And maybe you can just give a bit on your personal perspectives about that correlation, and also on GWNet's mandate as a key driver for mentorship in the global space for for women who wants to join the clean energy sector.
Yeah, and that's another great question. And I see mentorship as something that we don't always understand, but it's something that we all experience in our daily life. The famous saying is that there's nothing new under the sun. Whatever I'm going through, someone has been through before. And we often experience mentorship in a very informal way. It could be from an older sibling or a parent or a colleague at work, but someone who can give us advice and guidance just based on the fact that they've been there before. And what our co-founders saw when they formed GWNet, and this was in 2017, was that within the energy sector, women lacked the same support networks that their male colleagues did. And these support networks are what allow you to advance within the energy sector. And as our previous speaker said, that when you're looking at renewable energy, our numbers are only at 32% when it comes to women's participation. And to raise this number to 50%, and also that statistic is very important because even though we're 32%, it's very disproportionate with the number of women in senior decision-making roles. There's an overrepresentation of women in administrative roles. And so to ensure that there is a balance within the energy sector, we need to have more women advancing within their careers. So it's not just about attracting women to the energy sector, it's retaining them and advancing them within the sector. And that's where the importance of mentorship comes in. If women have these same support networks that their male colleagues have, if they have the guidance and the expertise from more senior professionals within the energy sector, then we have a chance to bridge some of these numbers. And that's what we do as GWNet. One of our main pillars is running mentorship programs. And we have several mentorship programs. Some are regional, such as our new one on energizing women to advance the energy transition, which is something we're organizing together with GIZ. And it focuses on specific countries such as Chile and Ethiopia and South Africa and India. But we also have some which are specifically focused on energy technologies. So we have Women in Wind with the Global Wind Energy Council. We have a clean cooking program with Clean Cooking Alliance and Sustainable Energy for All. And in all of these programs, we bring women who are just starting off in their career. So usually junior women or middle management women, and we connect them with more senior professionals within the energy sector. And the goal is for them to begin to create those support networks so that they can have the advice, the guidance to advance their careers more faster. And in this way, we can see more women having their voices heard as leaders in senior decision-making roles. And all of this will have a trickle effect in not only the number of women we have overall within the energy sector, but also the pace of the energy transition.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so happy to hear this because when I got into the clean energy sector, when I started my organization, it was basically blindfolded. Being blindfolded, you figure it out on the go. And I can admit it's 10 times harder to grow an organization, to get into network, to actually build that trust that you can deliver a job without really that support structure. So I think GWNet's work is really, really important in this new age when we are insisting and trying to get more women to join. And also we want to try to get them to be retained in the sector, just so that as more women still admire to join, they'll be able to see like, hey, Davina and Nora remain in the sector for the next 10 years and they rose maybe to better leadership position and their voice is heard. So thank you so much, Davina. And any question that you have for me, maybe?
I do. So I looked at your profile and you're super accomplished, but you're also just starting out in your career. And so what do you see as your aspirations for the clean energy sector? It would be
well, it's true. What I like to see with the brief experience that I've had is in the future, I want more women to be able to get into the innovation space for clean energy. It doesn't even have to be innovating a product, could be a process that still contribute to the sector. And I want to hear or want to experience more African innovations being dominant, as well as Asian innovations being dominant in their space, because through that, then we'll be able to just spark those vibrant economies, especially in rural communities and off-grid communities. And also we'll be able to nurture that, that love and just that acceptance that green energy transition is a way that can include economies, can include women, can include the youth. So I foresee a future of more women coming up strongly with innovations, more youth coming up strongly, and networks like yours supporting us to be able to be better or transition into better working professionals or better leaders in the industry. So thank you so much, Davina. This was fun and amazing. I'm proud of your work. I'm proud of GWNet. And I just can't wait to hear what the other speakers got to say about involving more women in the energy sector, in the clean energy space, and just how they are harnessing mentorship to ensure that there is maximum technology transfer, there's maximum knowledge transfer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nora. I'm looking forward to also seeing your advancement within the energy sector. And as you said, to see more women within the Kenyan energy space, the African energy space, and the global energy space. Also looking forward to the next speaker.
Yes.
Dear colleagues, I want to start by expressing my gratitude to Chile for hosting such an excellent ministerial meeting, and to all SAM members for their trust in the IEA, hosting the SAM Secretariat at our premises. We are very pleased to have this opportunity and to work closely with the excellent team and the head of the Secretariat, Dan Donner. He is doing an excellent job. The level of commitment to fight climate change has never been higher than it is now. But if we take a step back, the picture becomes less optimistic. This year, instead of a sustainable recovery, we are seeing emissions to increase record highs. Our numbers show that this year, global emissions will increase the second largest in the history. To support the governments around the world, their efforts, we just published a roadmap to net zero for the world's energy sector. And our roadmap is much more than a technology story. The transition to net zero must be for and about people. This is why we started a global commission on people-centered clean energy transitions earlier this year. I have convened this group of some 20 leaders around the world, chaired by the Prime Minister of Denmark, and several ministers, thought leaders around the world came together, and we have now an excellent global commission on people-centered clean energy transitions. And we hope that this commission will provide its report to COP26 in Glasgow this year. I have also put diversity and inclusion as a top priority for my agency. We need to draw on all voices and perspectives to help shape the clean energy transitions. Energy sector also needs all the talent it can get. The sector has historically been male-dominated, unfortunately. According to our recent analysis, women make up just under 14% of senior managers across the energy industry, which is much lower than in other sectors. But we can change this, and our collaboration with C3E International is a cornerstone in our efforts. We are very supportive of the work we are doing together to improve data and put policies in place so that we can close the gender gap within this decade.
My name is Grace Young. I'm a settler Canadian woman from the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people in Mi'kmaqui, what is currently called Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm incredibly honored to have the opportunity to provide the closing remarks to such an inspiring event. First, I want to take a moment and extend my gratitude to the teams from CE3 International and the SDG7 Youth Constituency for organizing this event on gender equality and youth participation. We've heard from Annette Hollis and Trop Soy about the work that C3E International and the SDG7 Youth Constituency are accomplishing. I am motivated and energized by the experts, distinguished guests, and young changemakers who have joined us to signal the importance of engaging young women in the deployment of clean energy. The opening statement from the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, and remarks from the Honorable Seamus O'Regan Jr. and the Right Honorable Anne-Marie Trevian set the stage for a series of insightful trigger talks that identified the barriers facing young women in clean energy, highlighted the importance of mentorship, and acknowledged how meaningful career opportunities for women can accelerate the deployment of clean energy around the world. I'm completing my master's in Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies at Western University and work as Student Energy's Global Community Coordinator. Student Energy is a global youth-led organization empowering young people to accelerate the sustainable, equitable energy transition. We work with a network of 50,000 youth from over 120 countries to build the knowledge, skills, and networks they need to take action on energy. Participating in the energy transition by advocating for youth, gender, and energy justice, my involvement with Student Energy has allowed me to explore my role in taking action on the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically through SDGs 5, 7, and 13. My experience directly engaging with young energy leaders, developing and implementing energy solutions for their communities has shown me that the energy transition is a mechanism through which we can advance equality around the world. This experience encouraged my graduate research, which relates to SDGs 5, 7, and 13. My project aims to identify the unique challenges facing young women looking to participate in Canada's energy sector while analyzing pathways to activism in Canada's youth climate movement. Young women focused on addressing gender inequity in the energy space are often excluded from decision-making tables, or their perspectives are undervalued. The energy transition is not sustainable unless it's equitable. We will not be successful unless we acknowledge all stakeholders. Young people, especially young women, are among the most critical untapped resource to transform our energy system. And as we have seen today, throughout this innovative event, women are changing the energy landscape. We have heard from young changemakers in the clean energy space and highly regarded experts who are champions and committed allies for gender equality and youth participation. As we work towards the clean energy transition, we must focus on 3 calls to action. Governments, international organizations, and industry must prioritize gender equity across the sector by creating meaningful career opportunities for young women, access to mentorship, and strong representation. Loretta Rivero and Christina Marcatelli outlined the critical barriers young women face entering and working in the sector. In line with my first call to action, they pointed to solutions for overcoming such challenges. Right now, many energy companies are facing significant skill shortages. If we want innovative ideas and a dynamic future workforce, we need to bring in more youth with diverse backgrounds and perspectives, such as young women who have historically been excluded from the space. Stakeholders must address systemic barriers to young women's employment by developing strategies directly informed by a multitude of young women's perspectives to ensure their sustained participation and success in the sector. Young women are already changing the world and implementing innovative, cross-sector, community-based solutions that tackle energy access and equity issues in tandem. The energy transition cannot afford to dismiss their engagement. Davina Nagay and Nora Magaro illuminated the connections between advocacy, networking, and mentorship. Mentorship is essential for career development, which is why this is my second call to action. As young people, we have a lot to learn from those with valuable expertise about the current energy system, especially concerning the complexities of deploying and producing energy. The Global Women's Network for the Energy Transition is an incredible example of an organization championing this work and prioritizing women's success as energy professionals. We need to invest in young women, not just financially, but in their professional and personal development with mentorship and guidance. Finally, young women need to feel empowered to envision themselves as energy leaders. As Mathilde Vorstefort and Sabina Agustina Diaz highlighted, there are incredible opportunities to accelerate the clean energy transition and promote gender equality by engaging young women in the sector. The young leaders we have seen today represent a snapshot of the critical work young women are pursuing. Creating career opportunities and access to mentorship necessitates increased representation, which is why this is my final call to action. Enabling young women and girls to imagine their future careers in energy means ensuring systemic barriers do not inhibit these aspirations. This requires holistic efforts on behalf of government and industry to increase the representation of women across the sector. These efforts must go beyond hiring more women into entry-level roles, but ensure they have equitable access to opportunities that will advance their careers, such as guidance and mentorship, so they can progress to high-level positions and see other women in these roles, like Mathilde, who is an incredible role model and champion for gender equality in this space. Before I close, I want to speak directly to the youth and young women dreaming of a sustainable future. Our knowledge and perspectives are valuable and powerful. No matter what background we come from or what career we're working toward, we have a role to play in accelerating clean energy deployment. As I complete my master's in gender, sexuality, and women's studies, I feel my journey into the sector indicates that we need interdisciplinary engagement on energy issues. We must remember that a status quo relies on conformity with comfortability and never being questioned. There is no set path which we have to follow as young women entering the industry. Governments and industry need to see young women as valuable stakeholders and partners. Young women are already changing the world, and when we are well supported from communities, coalitions, and facilitated knowledge sharing, we can accelerate the equitable energy deployment and shape our energy future to ensure the benefits of a clean energy transition are distributed equally around the world. Sitting here today, motivated to work towards these goals, I wish I could tell my 16-year-old self about the woman that she would one day get to work with and look up to. I'd bet she would take one look at the experts and young change makers from this event who are champions of gender equality and not think twice about imagining her future career in clean energy. Thank you.